I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, yes?
I just had one question. You said fold the paper and put what on both sides?
Oh, yeah, teacher and then student. Teacher on one side and student on the other side. We're just making that little sheet that I showed you guys. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go to the video now. Yep, the YouTube does not like me. Again. Really? Is this what we're doing? Okay, no, I don't want. I hear it, but I don't see it. Let's try it again. Yes, third time's the charm. All righty. What are we doing?
There's power in the word no. At University of Phoenix, there's no application fee, entrance exam, or obligation.
What are we here to learn? We are. I can identify the main idea and supporting details from what I read and create a summary using the supporting details. Okay, give yourself a pat on the back if you're ready. Okay, let's turn those papers over that you have on your desk. This is your opportunity to do a closed reading activity where you read that article. You can use your pencil to highlight any information that you think will help you in finding the main idea. We're going to be using the reading cards, the blue reading cards. So when you're done, simply turn it over so we'll know when we can move on. You may begin. Feel free to mark it at this time. Water striders. Imagine yourself zooming across the top of a pond or lake without sinking in. While this might be hard, group is one team. Here's how the game will be played. Your entire group is one team. I will tell you what row or column we're working on at that time. Whenever I show you what row or column we're working on, your team is going to try to find the answers to those questions. They must be highlighted in the text, and you must be able to tell me where you found it with the paragraph and the sentence number. Here we go. The first thing we're going to work on is across the top. What insect does a water strider resemble? How would you describe the size of a water strider? What fact can you select to show the speed of a water strider? Go.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so put a slider.
What's your answer going to be?
Oh.
Okay.
The size.
You're going to find it in the text. You have to be able to highlight it to use it for an answer. What fact can you select to show the speed of a water strider? Abby has an answer. Share it, Abby. What did you see?
I saw since 5. I think water spiders also have
Go on and finish.
good vision and can move quickly.
Awesome job. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, I heard my first group. Water striders. I heard it. Okay, let's see if they've got it. Now they're going to help you out because remember when we respond, the first thing we do is tell the paragraph, then the sentence number, then we give our fact, but then we answer our question. And I'm going to type the answer up here. That way you'll make sure you've highlighted the correct section. Here we go. Which insect does a water strider resemble? Hudson, can you tell me where you found that answer?
Paragraph 2, sentence 1, a water strider is a water bug that looks like a large mosquito.
Okay, so he said paragraph 2, sentence 1. And what is your answer then?
Large mosquito.
A large mosquito. He is correct. Looking good. Next one. How would you describe the size of a water strider? How would you describe the size? I'm still on this table because they were the first group. Victor, can you answer that question for us?
On paragraph 4, the second sentence says, its body is only 1/2 inch long.
Ready? Looking good. 2 out.
All right, let's rehash. Somebody come off mute and tell us what the teacher's doing.
I love that. Oh, can you hear me? Sorry. The teacher started out reviewing all the standards that they were going to go through, every single thing the kids were going to learn. During the session, she started out reviewing that with them. I love that she gave instructions. She had their materials ready. You could tell this was planned. This was not something she just came up with that morning when she got to class. You could also tell that the kids had been, they knew like the role that they had in the classroom in their groups. They also knew her expectations. You could tell they did not have time to act silly, crazy, none of that. Like, she was giving them a list of things to do. They had to do it. It was a little overwhelming to me. You could tell this classroom knew how to work with her. She had programmed them, taught them how to do these things. This was not the first lesson. You could tell this was like at least a couple months into school to where they knew all the things that she was going to ask. I love how she rotated around the room during their group work time. She went to each group. She asked them questions that were specifically targeted to each group, what she probably knew they were going to have trouble with. And then at the end, when she was giving feedback to them, they had their little, take a picture moment. Those were things that they probably do all the time in class. I really like that. She seemed really in tune with what her kids knew how to do.
She did. Anyone else want to add to that?
She pretty much covered everything that I had written down. But I did notice where in one group she was encouraging students to help each other. And I thought that that was really good as well.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay, we can hear you.
Oh, hi. Yes, I agree with Kim as well. She did cover everything, but what I did hear, I heard a lot of Q&A from the teacher to the students. And I also liked how she was very engaged with her students. And you can tell from how the kids were all ready and just diving into the discussion that it had already been taught, that she has been teaching it, maybe for a couple of days. So everybody was pretty in tune with the teacher. And just the praise that she gave at the end was awesome to encourage them. And I think that helped them to continue to kind of move forward and go on with their lesson.
Agreed. So now that we know the teacher did an amazing job, how do we think the students were? Anyone want to share about the students? Let's hear some more voices.
Well, the students were engaged. That's the piece that I liked. No one was up. I did notice, a few kids, and I know these are small kids. Big kids do it as well. They were just, one kid had their feet up in the desk, but they were engaged. They had their materials. They were ready. So that spirals back to classroom management.
Right.
I like how when they found their answer, because I do that with my students, the paragraph and the sentences so that they all know where to look in the story that they're working on. I think I like that they did that.
Supporting that text evidence. I love it. Support. Anything else noticed about the students?
What I noticed and really liked was at the end how they, when she was checking in, did you agree? How they were encouraging each other, because the classroom has to be really safe when people are sharing out, and her little system for how, if they agree, or the little camera or their hand motions, I thought that was really neat, for them, especially for the whole class, because even though she was cueing them a lot, there was still the possibility that somebody could have been kind of wrong or off, but they felt safe to share, and they knew they were going to get that support from their classmates, that encouragement. So I just like how safe the students felt in that classroom. I could tell that.
All right. So now let's talk about it from the stance of our evidence sorting form. So if we're looking at evidence in this, and someone come off of mute and talk about, do you feel like the lesson was aligned to the standards and represented a coherent sequence of learning?
So
Yes. Oh, sorry. You can go.
I do think that the lesson was aligned. Just because she didn't just give them the overall standard, she actually went into the pieces and parts, which sometimes I think teachers, forget. So her target, her learning target or outcome was explicit when she went over that. So as she walked through going to the groups and checking in, I could see that she had aligned that, and she knew what she wanted them to do to get to the end product, and she was making sure that they could do that.
Okay. Anyone else with lesson alignment? Okay. Lessons have high levels of learning for all students. Looking at the ratings, would you rate this lesson a 4, 3, 2, 1 and support that? Tell me why.
I guess I have kind of a question comment with that. And, being a teacher, I kind of know from that standpoint. But while the administrators in the room, all of that may not be observed. So when you do that observation, are you basing it solely on what you saw in that moment? Because she could have been a 4, maybe if you had stayed in there a little bit longer. But from what I saw, she would be possibly maybe a 3, because I didn't see her make relevant connections to students' prior experiences and things like that. So I guess my question is, you rate just on what you see in that moment?
That is why I said I do 6 to 8 informal observations a year. I don't have to base it off one thing. That lesson I got into that particular day may not show all that. You are so correct. But is that a habit, or is that something that the teacher has done previously? And is this a add-on like for the second day and we're getting into this lesson? So that's the thing about not doing a one, to me, that's the thing about not doing a one and done. Because I will tell you, as a teacher, and I got a rating I was not happy with, I went in with all my evidence. Oh no, we're not going to be a 3 today because in this lesson I did this, this, and this, and in this, because I've had administrators who were one and done people. So, it's one of those for me. I like to be able to say over the course of the time that this teacher has had to teach from August to say we do it formal in November, I've seen that you've done these things previously. So that's going to be the administrator's take.
I
And
would have, I have a question, if you don't mind. So naturally when I'm going through this and I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm looking at the 4, like I'm starting at the top is what I'm gravitating towards. And I
Right.
look and I'm taking each part and I'm looking, all right, scaffolding, that I'm looking at each part. There could have been differentiation, but it seems like it was kind of like a one and all assignment. Like we're working together, we're doing this whole group. So it doesn't really seem like there were opportunities for students to choose challenging tasks, more challenging tasks and things like that. So I guess in this one would be hard to rate, because if we don't, okay, because if there's no differentiation, that's a 1.
And then I want you to also pay attention that domain 1 is lesson design. So this is the lesson planning part of this. And you're not there to see the lesson plan, to hear if she was on a team, how they talked through it. So you are going to base what you're viewing and say, well, I believe in my mind as a teacher that she had to think through these things in order to come to this lesson, right? So it's gonna be it's not gonna be perfect. Even when you do it in a real life setting, it's not perfect. And I will tell you, as an administrator, I have not added a rating for some things because I want to have a conversation afterwards. Because like I said, feedback is important. Whereas I may think, like you're saying, I may think, well, I don't think this is a challenging task. And I don't think that. And I'll sit down with the teacher and say, hey, just kind of tell me your thinking behind this activity. And
What
therefore that discussion sometimes leads you to the fact of, yes, she did have a challenging task, but she had to scaffold it because of the students in the room. Or no, it wasn't. So yeah, we're not a 4.
So since you've seen the entire video, because I was thinking kind of how she was thinking too, could you tell us if it does happen, was there something different? Because at one group I noticed the kids were kind of a little off task, which may have been um, a group that may have been a little lower and needed some more direction from her, but we didn't really see her visit any other groups. But I know you were speeding through. So does she do that at some point?
Yes, there is another little group where she does, and this is my take from watching it. I thought the student she was working with in that group was an EL student because he was having a little language difficulty there, and she does go over to that group and she talks a little bit with that particular student about word meaning. Yes, for class purposes, I didn't think y'all want to watch a 17-minute video. So I do kind of cut it up and just kind of show you bits and pieces. For your actual assignment, you'll watch the whole video and try to glean from what you see in that video. And again, they're not perfect because they're videos. It's not like when you have this in real life and you can have the feedback and all of that. So don't get so, I mean, I know we're perfectionists in this field of education we live in, but this is a teachable thing. It's not where it's going to be perfect. All righty. Any other thoughts about lesson design? All right, let's look at student understanding. And the overarching thing is that she assisted students in taking responsibility for learning, and she's monitoring student learning. You do have to come off of mute in order to respond, and I have perfect wait time.
I do think she communicated the lesson goals well and made it accessible to the students, and she repeated things, and I feel like that was really good for the kids, especially that age group, just to keep checking in. And I did notice, even though we only saw it kind of work with the one group, how even when the child answered, she reminded him that he had to have that text evidence. So I really feel like she was giving them the good feedback right then in real time. And again, I just like how safe the classroom felt. And she was a part of creating that culture. She didn't make a big deal out of, oh, this is not right, whatever. She kind of just reminded, hey, make sure it's in the text. So I think she did a really, really good job with that. So I would probably have given her somewhere between a 3 and a 4. I mean, I would have to watch it some more, but I really think she did well with that.
Awesome. Thank you. So the next video is a little bit different. And I know we have high school people on here, and I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of high school videos. But this next one is going even lower. And it always is very interesting to me when the debrief of the second video and what people think. So I like to hear the conversation afterwards. So flip your sheet over and you're gonna do teacher student again for the second video.
Before we start, can I interrupt?
Yes.
I've been teaching for almost 20 years, and that classroom seemed very fake to me. And I'm sorry to say that. Just because of the level of IEPs and behaviors, and not just in my classroom, but in the school in general. And now I have 5 different periods I teach, and I have 33 students in one block. And I just didn't see, they all seem to be the highest learners, it almost seems scripted
Okay, so that is an
to me.
educational video, and I would say probably. So this next one, you're gonna enjoy it just a wee bit. All right, thanks, Amy. I like when people bring that out. You're not the first. I don't know, YouTube. I just don't know why we have to have such a disagreement all the time. Let's try this again. Third time's the charm, I guess. All righty, let's go.
Have you tried doing some thinking for a moment? Because have you tried doing some thinking for a moment? Because I was thinking about the books, 2 of the stories we've read, Dominic, off the top. Oh. I was thinking about spring. No. And I was thinking about the story Down the Hill. And I was thinking, Davia, about some of the things that are the same about the stories and some of the things that are different. CJ, in your spot sitting up. I was thinking about some of the things that are the same and some of the things that are different. For help. We're going to put those things up here on what we call a Venn diagram. Can you say that? Venn diagram. Oh, one more time. Say it. Venn diagram. In order to do this, I'm going to need your help. So first I need you to push your bodies a little close. Yeah. Not too close, remember, don't touch the person in front of you. Let's go. Look, there's room right here. Scoot up. DJ, you need to be out from under the table. Okay, eyes right here. Thank you, Kiesia. Eyes are up here. She's ready to learn. James is ready. Now I'm going to need a scout. A scout is going to be someone who watches, someone who's being responsible, sitting up. Dominic, would you come on up and be our scout first? Nope, Dominic. Sit down, Davia. Sit down, sir. I want it. Tall, eyes up here. Dominic, your job is to pay attention to Ms. Whitmore and to watch the class to see who's being responsible. Responsibility is doing what you're supposed to be doing. So you're sitting up straight and tall, you're listening. When it's time to turn and talk to your friends, you turn and talk. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. I'm thinking, we know what happened in spring. Let's go back to what happened in. Thank you, sir. Look here. What happened at the beginning of the story, Down the Hill? It was snowing. Hey, it was snowing. Was it snowing in spring? No. Okay, so let's see. Down the hill. In the story Down the Hill, it was snowing. Snowing. But I'm thinking, in the story spring, was it snowing? No, because the snow melted. The snow had melted. Oh, I'm gonna put that because that's different. The snow melted. That's not the same, is it? Because it was sunny over here, huh? And yeah, my name is So Toad said, blah. Blah. Yes. Right. We'll put that in a bubble because Toad said. Hi there. Can I get a counselor to 108? You talking counselor? Let me see. Let's look at what else is different. When Frog got to Toad's house, he said, he said, Frog. Oh, but that's what in this story, Frog dressed Toad in winter clothes, right? Oh, this Frog dressed Toad. Frog said, it's spring, it's snowing. In this story, what did Frog do to Toad? Snowing. Push him out of bed. Pushed him out of bed to look outside, right? He wants to be the Jesse what? And then he said I can't see. Frog pushed Toad out of bed. Oh, and Toad said, what did Toad say? I can't see. I think. Which one did you like best? Why? Okay. The story I like best is. Bring or down the hill, which one? Because why?
All right. Different approach.
That's real life.
It is. It is. And not to say the other one was not real life. It just, I can't. I'll just say either or. Tell me what the teacher was doing. And let's hear from some people who have not taken themselves off mute today. I appreciate those of you who are willing to participate. But let's hear from some other people. What is it? Okay.
For starters, I want to give her kudos because I'm a middle school teacher and I just cannot. The teacher was very calm throughout the whole entire lesson. She continually had to ask students to be quiet, turn around. She tried to keep them engaged, but they're children. I have one, he's 5, and they're active. So they wanted to just to stop, do this and that. But she did not stop the lesson to continually discipline a child or just one child in particular, and everybody else is focused on their child instead of the lesson. Those that were paying attention, she continued, she asked the questions, they did respond. And I like how at the end she was telling them how to actually make the sentence to tell her which book that they prefer. Repeat after me. I like this book, and they did, and she got the opportunity to get them to start saying a sentence or a complete sentence so they can know how this is how you should say it. Not just tell me this, but tell me what about this book. You like it. All right, cool. I did see her jotting something down. Not sure she was taking notes as far as a discipline chart. Because I know that in pre-K kindergarten, they do disciplinary charts and they had to keep tally or whatever. But overall, like I said again, I give her kudos.
Oh, yeah.
Because kindergarten is just,
Different breed.
ooh, way different.
Yes, she did keep her cool. I do believe that was a behavior chart, and I did see
It was.
be quiet. Someone else who wants to share what the teacher and focus in on the teaching and learning.
Okay,
Oh,
are you
no,
there?
you go.
Oops, sorry. You can go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You got it. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm a kindergarten teacher, so I felt at home in her classroom. I love that she used the Venn diagrams because I use them all the time and the kids love them. It helps keep the kids actively engaged because they get to complete it. I felt like maybe she didn't have an assistant in the room with her because my assistant usually would be right behind them, kind of getting them to sit down. And but I felt like she was doing a great job. I felt like she was by herself. And so they were kind of getting excited. I love that she was the story. We actually do that story in my class also. And I love that my focus was on the Venn diagram and getting the kids to participate, actively engaged, and then changing it. And I also do that to have them make a complete sentence because they don't understand words and complete sentences at that age. So I'm giving her a thumbs up for that.
Okay. LaDerek?
Yes, yes, ma'am. That was actually the same thing that I was going to say. That Miss Regina said. I did notice that in the video, I really didn't catch that she introduced the objective to the kids. However, like Miss Regina said about the kids were just actively moving, and it's a possibility that she didn't have an assistant. But however, she was still able to get her point across in the lesson by introducing the Venn diagram and discussing those stories and asking the children questions to where they was able to answer the questions and correctly put it into each spot of the Venn diagram.
All right. So I hear both of y'all saying the similar. So do you think that she was assisting students in taking responsibility for learning and monitoring their student learning? As we look at the score, the rubric, would we assign a 4, 3, 2, or 1 to student understanding?
Dr. Cockrell, this is Beth. I know I can't get my camera working, but one thing that what I feel with the student engagement, even at that age, maybe to help increase the engagement would be to draw like their names out of a stick and say, okay, can you tell me what was in this story? What was in this story or whatever, just to kind of help make sure that she is getting feedback from them based on their responses from the story. Cause they were all kind of just calling out. And
Yeah.
she was like, yeah, what did they do? Yeah, what did they do? So maybe that would have helped in that part as far as communicating the objective and then assessing their understanding of the objective.
Okay, so then with that, Beth Ann, would you rate her a 4?
I think it would have to be a 2 or 3 because I'm kind of like Laderick. I don't know if the objective was really stated as clear.
Okay.
And I feel like the student, there's no checking to make sure that they really understood what the objective was or if they could perform that objective and meet it.
Okay. Agreed. I agree. All right, let's look at domain 2-4. Provides multiple ways for students to make meaning of content. What do you guys think about that for her?
I would probably give her a 1.
Okay.
Mainly because I don't, I started in elementary, so I do understand that kids are busy, but I don't think that, I guess I would say that the discipline in the room would kind of make the kids off task. They were not as engaged. And they were talking out of turn. So I'm assuming this could be at the beginning of the school year. So she didn't have her, I guess her rules in place for the kids. So I would probably give her a 1.
Kind of to piggyback off of that, I think I just feel like I saw a lot more correcting than teaching. It just seemed kind of like she was correcting kids and be quiet back there, stop, get off, get out from under the table, stuff like that, instead of teaching more and diving deeper into the stuff she was writing and maybe connecting it to, real world, like explaining what blah meant. I mean, because some kinders might not understand that. And it just, some stuff you just have to ignore. I just think focusing in more on the lesson, the blurting out. I mean, I know they're kinder, I've taught kinder. They can raise their hands or get a stick system, something like that, to just evaluate if they're understanding it separately and individually from each student. So, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just saying because I've wouldn't teach kindergarten ever, so that's the thing. But don't they usually have like the big books? Because I feel like if she had the text, I am a language arts teacher, and I just don't think we should be questioning kids without them having text in hand. And so I know they're kindergarten, they probably weren't reading, but if she'd had the big books that I see that they order in our district up so they could reference the stories too, because if they are not reading yet, if she had the 2 books up, maybe showing the picture, they could have made more of a connection to the text. And also, she wasn't using her Venn diagram exactly correct. Like some of the things I saw her putting in, unless blah was in both texts, which we don't have the text, I know. So I felt like even teaching them initially how the purpose of the Venn diagram was a little off, and maybe she doesn't quite know it, or maybe that's just how they do it with kindergarten, but it's a comparing and contrasting map. That's what it's for. And I felt like she kind of got off with that a little, which then makes my job when they get to fourth grade, sixth grade, eighth grade a little harder, because now I have to unteach something someone's done incorrectly.
I feel like she could have used pictures with that Venn diagram as well.
Yeah.
I have a question. Just, I'm sorry. How do you take your own bias out of it? Because I'm more of a middle high school person, and I think that there's a special place in heaven for kindergarten teachers. And I mean, but how do I take my own bias out of it and not look at it through my lens constantly? Because I understand that I mean, those are babies, and you're still trying to teach them how to sit on a rug and listen to a lesson. And but that, I think that she did a great job of
As a
like
kindergarten teacher, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but in a way, you have to get out of the mentality of they're just babies, because they are a lot more capable than what you kind of think they are. And at the beginning, you are, and like I kind of looked in that video, and she had 100 charts, or like 10 frames counting up to 100, and it seemed like they had been in school for a while. Like if they were really counting their days in school, which is how we do it with the 10 frame, they had been in school a while, so it almost seemed like her procedures weren't in place in the first place. Because we're into the point now, like this is September, and my kids know when they come in, we sit on the rug, we sit crisscross applesauce, and they know the expectation, and almost it seemed like that was established. And it could have not.
I agree with Alexa as a kindergarten teacher, but at this point in time, my students know that if I say, raise your hand to ask a question, they know to do that. If I'm asking a question of the whole group, but I just felt like either her assistant wasn't there or there was no classroom management involved.
All
Kind of.
things I would agree with. And if you look at culture and learning environment, manages a learning focused classroom community. We notice there's a lack of that. And I also agree with the timing. She's had those students for a while. But also as an administrator walking in, you know the demographics in that room. You know if she has the inclusion classroom, a lot, you know, majority sped, you know if she has a majority EL population, and it may be winter, but it also may be the class that does get constant redirection. She called for the counselor, so she has a system in place. She had the behavior chart. So I heard the question earlier about walking in and being unbiased. You will have more information walking in. It's easy for us to say all the things we're saying as an observer, but when you are a part of the school as the administrator, you know how to sit in that room and say, okay, Dominic has a behavior plan. I know she's going to redirect Dominic quite a bit in this classroom. She actually used the strategy of let's give Dominic a job and maybe he'll be able to focus more into what she's teaching. So your bias changes with information. And and I will tell you that was one of the harder things for me to learn when I became an assistant principal, because I am such a type A personality. I'm very structured, and I wanted kids to be in desk, get off your feet, sit down, focus, look at me. And that was my August. By September, when my administrator walked in, my kids were ready. But you also, again, my inclusion classroom did not look like my classroom without inclusion. So you have to know those things as an administrator walking in. And what looks like great classroom management to you, for another teacher who's more flexible with flexible seating. We don't all have to be in rows. We may be on the carpet, a group. We may have a group at the desk. We may actually have a group sitting with the teacher, and we're all doing the same thing. And as you get into this role, you want to take your biases and stick them in your pocket. Look at students. That had become my thing when I first started. It was always to look at student engagement. If this kid is spinning on the floor, but every time the teacher asks a question, his hand goes up to answer. Hey, spin, friend, spin. That's your ADHD, but your brain is on the teacher. So you learn those tricks when you're in those classrooms. And I love the fact that you asked that question about being biased. I will be the first person to tell you, when I started, I was probably so biased. And we had a teacher, and bless her heart, she was not born in the 70s, but she should have gone through the hippie era. And she's young, but she should have. Her kids literally would ask random questions while she was teaching. That drove me insane. Because I'm like, that's not what we're doing in here, because that's me as a person. But I learned that she could do all those things because her ADHD was out of control, right? So she could do all those things, has the perfect scores when it came time for math. So, or her benchmark. So I had to learn what's not my way of classroom management does not make that bad classroom management. And you will get in that realm of understanding as you start doing this. And you do have to walk in and say, this is not me. This is not my classroom. How can I support? If you don't learn anything else when you walk away from 602, your goal as an administrator is, how can I support this teacher? And guys, the pool of teachers is not a pool anymore. It's more like that little round plastic swimming pool you get for your toddler to sit in and splash water. It's a splash pad, right? And even if you interview 5 people for one job, you may walk away and not one of those 5 people are good candidates. So it is about growing the people you have in your buildings. And that's what the 6 domains teach us. How can we do these things effectively to make sure our teachers are their best selves? Right? So, just for time, I like to get y'all out in the 2-hour frame. I'm going to transition. Are we ready to transition? Are there any lasting questions or comments that need to get off your chest? Please come off mute and do that now.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
You are a seasoned evaluator of teachers, and all of us that are in this cohort, are you in a situation where you've been told not to give teachers 4s?
As an educator, when I was in a classroom teaching every day, again, I was that person who came in and fought for my score because I know I'm distinguished. You're not going to walk in here and tell me I'm not. Because I know what I do on my weekends. I know what I do at 4:00 in the afternoon. I know that I had a notebook that when I was cooking dinner, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Let me write it in a notebook. To me, that's distinguished, right? I personally think, and I'm going to go back to what I think it was Jerry said, I'm in a high performing school. Why aren't my teachers distinguished? So when I go to drop off my packet to human resources of my evaluations, 98% of my teachers are distinguished. They get all 4s. I have a few that get 3s, and they know why. And we're working on that. It's not that you're getting a 3 because you're not great. It's you're getting a 3 because you're still learning. If you're going to tell kids they're still learning, how is it as adults we're not still learning, right? So when I look at that, yes, I've had that told to me. But at the end of the day, teachers are distinguished. We're the hardest working profession ever. And if it's going to be the difference between breaking a teacher's spirit, you're distinguished. Yes, I do believe in giving the rating that they've earned.
Well, thank you for reaffirming that to us, Dr. Cockrell. But I agree with Coach. I want to know the same answer that Coach Norman wants to know, because I've worked in 3 different districts and I've been told, well, we can't give you all 4s. So is that something that someone heard at a leadership conference, or is that the norm? I mean, inquiring minds just want to know. I just want to know.
I just went through this Mississippi growth training because I had to renew You have to renew that you've been trained every so often, every 3 years. So I just went through it last year. And I will tell you, that was said in that training, that don't feel bad that all of your teachers are not fours, because they shouldn't be. I disagree. But again, I disagree because I believe that we are the hardest working profession out there. I do believe there are teachers who don't work this hard. I do believe there are teachers who are 7 to 3 people. They clock in at 7, they do what they can between the hours of 7 and 3, and they go home and they never touch their stuff. Then is that teacher a 4? If you can get it in 7 to 3, I'm not knocking it, because I have some teachers who are 7 to 3 people and they don't ever mingle during their planning period because they're working. And I respect that. It is about the work. And in answering his question, that's a district to district thing. If that district superintendent says that everybody in the buildings are not fours or not distinguished, then that's how the school district is run, right? But that's going to be a district to district, building to building mentality. So there's not a one and done answer for that. I'm sorry. Just
So
decide
just
who you want to be as an administrator. Remember, we talked about core values. Put in your core values what you think is important. And when you lead, that's how you lead.
I was told that let's say if you're at a C or a D district school, it's impossible for you to have a lot of teachers that has fours because your school isn't performing. So how can your teachers be all fours?
So I work in Madison County now, but I started in the Delta because that's where I was born and bred, and I worked there. And when I moved here, I worked in Jackson. I worked at Poindexter Elementary School right off Capitol Street, if y'all know about Jackson. And I worked harder for those babies than I worked ever in my whole career. And why? Because I always walked in knowing they have a larger deficit. They got more gaps to fill. So, do I believe in that thinking? No, I don't. And again, that's a mentality, how people feel about certain things. If I have a classroom teacher, and if I'm doing, let me go back. If I am that administrator who's doing observations and feedback, then I know if I have a distinguished teacher, if I have a teacher who's barely cutting it, I know those things. But if you are an administrator who's not in classrooms, who's not doing feedback, it's easy for me to give you a 2. It's easy for me to give you a 3. But if I'm meeting with you and you're sitting in my office crying because you've done all you can, then I know your heart is in it, and I know your work capacity. I know your work initiative, your habits. But if I'm never in your classroom, I never can speak about how you are as a teacher. So again, I can't answer that and give you an answer because it's going to go back to the mentality of a district, the mentality of a school. And everybody comes with their own.
Dr. Cockrell, it reminds me of our reading and that one part where we have to encourage that positive mindset and positive growth. And I think that for myself, when last year, when I had my end of the year evaluation, my former administrator was like, awesome, all fours. And I was like, hold up, I didn't do that very good. I know I got to improve this. Like, I knew I wanted to grow in certain areas. And so he was like, okay, well, what do you want? I was like, you can put me a 3 on that one. You can put, but I think that's if we can kind of create that culture, I think I agree with everything you said. Having that meeting and building that relationship with your staff, you kind of know where their mindset is and what their expectations are or what they're trying to do. And if they're earning it, they're earning it. And you're going to have some probably like me that are saying, I have room to grow, like I can get better. And so having those post conferences or meetings with your teachers, probably, I mean, I don't know if that's what you do, if you kind of adjust the scores as you guys meet and have more discussion on the lesson plans and the assessments or whatever, or how you're collaborating with other team members and reaching out into the community, like all those little things. Do I understand that correctly in relation to what we're reading?
Yes, that is correct. You are getting it. Just that is exactly it. And that's when I said I don't rate some things until we have that feedback meeting, because I want to hear from the teacher and I want to know what it is that I'm missing. Because sometimes an observation is just that you don't see everything. So you do have to dig a little deep and get some more information. And I will tell you this, because I was this particular, as a teacher, I was ready to defend my score. Because at the end of the day, as I said before, I know how hard I work and I still have the same work ethic. I am at my school to 6 o'clock at least 3 to 4 days a week because I want my time spent in classrooms. I don't want my time spent sitting at my desk because then I lose sight of what's going on in the classrooms, how kids are acting even at recess, how they're acting in the cafeteria. All those things. We do teacher appreciation where I let the teachers have lunch with their teams, and the assistant principal and I and the specialist, we do lunch. Because I want kids to see me in the cafeteria. Now, don't get me wrong. I will tell you that is not my favorite place to be, but it's necessary. And it's things like that. You have to be a part of the classroom, a part of recess, a part of CAF. You got to be a part of the environment. Then you'll be able to speak to whether your teachers are doing a great job. If they're just treading water, you will know that. All right, guys, I'm going to shift. Oh, wait, Ronald, did you have another question?
I did, but it was more of a comment about our school district comes to Madison County, and we've modeled things that are done in Madison County and tried to model some of their things. And to hear you say you were in the Delta and seen a demographic that we kind of have, that makes you a real person to me now. Because when we go to Madison County and we all come back to school, we're like, uh, can we do this where we are? And I'll be able to tell our people that, you know what, they're just like us. They have people that had kids just like us. So the goal seems attainable. Because sometimes when we leave Northwest Rankin, we're feeling like this might not can happen, excuse me, in our district. So, I'm gonna be able to, tell our principals through my learning in this class that, our goals are attainable.
They are. And that's what people think. And I'm at a great school. I can't say anything negative about it. But when your bottom quartile, my least performing students are fours, it's harder to get growth for me than it is anywhere else. And that's where we have to fight and really dig deep to figure out where our deficiencies lie. And don't get me wrong, kids are kids. Kids are kids. You can teach them. I tell my teachers, I had a teacher tell me one time, and I was a literacy specialist at the time and talking about tear. He can't see his way out of a brown paper bag. I said, well, you might want to go find a flashlight. Because see, for me, that's offensive. Because what you just said is this kid can't learn. We got to change mindsets. Every child can learn bit by bit. If I get a kid at benchmark that's on a 2, my goal is to be a 3. It's goal setting. It's believing. All right, y'all will get me on the soapbox with that kind of stuff. So I'm going to get off my soapbox and we're going to go. Wait. Okay, I can't share yet. Oh, goodness. Google. Okay, let me come out of this. We're going to go back to our module because I don't want to leave you guys without talking about what's due tomorrow. I did not do a video because I knew we were meeting today and I would be able to talk about what we're doing. For tomorrow, we have a Dropbox for our data analysis. Guys, I need you to do me a favor. When you download this template, and if you've already submitted and this is not what you submitted, I want you to go back and fix it and re-upload. For this, I want you to take this template and clean it. When you turn this in tomorrow, the only thing I would like to see is this chart. I just want a clean chart because when I go through this and I start looking at it, I have an Excel spreadsheet because that's the way my brain works. Your name will be on it, and I'm going to put what standard you're looking at, what area, what your weaknesses are, and what your strengths are. And when you turn in part 2, all the things have to match. And so all the rubbish needs to go away. because these are just helpful hints and things of just trying to tell you what it is you're doing. And I did not adjust this document only because Dr. Sellers likes all the pieces to be on here, and I don't want to mess up what she has scripted in the event I don't teach this course at some point. So with that being said, leave this right here. Take your nice cursor and you highlight from here to here, and you just hit delete. It's gonna go away. It's
Dr.
gonna disappear.
Cockrell,
Can you
I'm so
show
sorry
that?
for interrupting. I'm so sorry, but I can't see on my screen what you were showing to highlight and delete. All
Oh,
I
it's
see is the very
showing.
top part, but I didn't see your cursor.
It did stop showing, sharing. Hold on 1 second. I get ya. I just saw the comment. The box. Let's see. Okay. Can y'all see it now? So here is what I'm referring to. You're going to highlight this, all this extra information, and just hit delete. And then the only thing that's going to be left is this box. Then you're going to come down here and you leave area focus, leave this. This area is where you're going to delete all of this extra information here. So when you're done, all I will see is this text box and area focus, that area. All the other things will go away. And I'm going to, give me just a second. Y'all bear with me in my computer for just a moment.
Is this meeting recorded? I'm sorry.
It is.
It is?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be able to watch it when
You'll
or
see
go
where,
back to look.
yes, where
Okay.
I started this, I did get off a little bit where I was not sharing and I had to fix that. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Give me a second. I'm gonna show you exactly. Okay, here we are. I had to put it in a Word document so y'all could see exactly what I'm saying. I'm just like y'all. I have to have it plain, make it plain. Take all of this, hit delete. So there's the box. There's that. Everything else, these are just helpful hints. This helps you later, and delete. When you turn this in to me, this is what I want. This is it. This is a 1-pager. Now, you will add your cover page. Don't forget your cover page. So what you're turning in is 2 sheets of paper, or 2 pages in Microsoft Word. The first page is your cover sheet. The second page is this template. That is all I need for you to turn in. And will it go to 2 pages? It might, because when you start typing in it, it may be a little bit longer. But this is all I will grade for your first submission.
But I have a quick question. At the top up there, number 1 that you just deleted, it has different little questions in it. And I answered those in, on the script there. But do we need to go back and add that in anywhere in this box? The things
I
that
don't want that.
Okay.
I'm not grading that. What I am grading is this box of information. Oh, I'm sorry, my screen stopped sharing. All I'm going to be grading is this box of information. Excuse me, and what you've listed as a focus area. That other information is going to help you for part 2. Okay? And this has changed a little bit for this particular course. It hasn't been this way prior to this year. And so I'm trying to tweak this a little bit with Dr. Sellers, and just that I know what is asking, I know what I'm grading. Let me put it that way. And that is what I'm going to be grading.
So you do not want our data.
Oh yeah, your data comes with this. Yes, I'm so sorry. Don't let me mess that up in your mind. Yes, I do want your data. Your data will be turned in with this assignment. But I always think about the data as a separate upload. If you're going to add it onto this document, please do. Yes, every time you turn this document in, you turn in the data. Thank you so much, Jerry, for throwing that out there so I don't forget. Okay, let's go here.
Quick question. So in the red part, the area of focus, is that going to be the same, the standard you're just listed above in your, okay, just want to make sure. And I have another question about the adding in the data that we get. So I ready. it only breaks it down by domain, so for the grade level. So I had to go to each class and individually print out the standards report. And from there, I created a spreadsheet to have all this, have it broken down by standards. But it's my own spreadsheet, not necessarily from iReady. I just had to do that to have all the classes in one.
Your
Because
STC should have been able to give you the item analysis for the grade. You should have asked your STC should have been able to give you third grade. I'm just giving this as an example. Third grade ELA benchmark 1.
So that they haven't so third grade has not done their Mastery Connect benchmarks until they won't do it until October. So she has the one from last year, but I knew you wanted this year.
No, no,
So
no. No one takes this until the end of the first 9 weeks. I'm
okay.
comfortable with the third bench from last year.
Oh,
If
okay.
you had
I'm
third
sorry.
bench from last year, or if you had, well, you can't use MAP this year. No one can use MAP because the DRC platform did not give an item analysis. So you would have to use whatever y'all had for third bench last year. If I'm not mistaken, my district, I have never used iReady, but from what I've received from other students with iReady in this cohort, they have been able to pull the actual item analysis to keep you from doing all that extra on your
So
part. But if you've done the extra, that's fine. Upload your spreadsheet. I'll look at it. And if it doesn't match what you need, I will let you know.
okay, I did reach out to, my admin. She didn't know. I reached the curriculum coordinator. She reached out to the rep for iReady, and they don't pull it by grade level. It's by class. So that's what I did, and I can upload each class individually. But
Don't, Jamelia, don't overwork yourself. If you
okay,
made it
sorry.
into this document, I'll take it. Elnora, I know your hand was raised.
Yes, I have a question about the plan, the template. Can I erase the red part at the bottom so that my area of focus will fit on the page? Because if
Oh,
I
I don't mind.
don't, it's gonna be 3.
I'm okay with that. That's what I was saying. If it goes off the page a little bit, I mean, a page or two, it's fine. Even where some people might type in their weaknesses and strength, it's gonna push it down a page. You're fine. I just didn't want all that extra stuff at the bottom. Just
Okay,
leave the document. No, 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 no. You're fine.
and I have another question. I used iReady and I went to my 8th grade because I'm in 7th and 8th grade. I went to my reading teacher and I took screenshots of there was a kind of item analysis that I could use, and it was kind of off. It was kind of skewed because I couldn't get any information from my DTC. My STC is only over state testing. I mean, we've had big, I don't know if anybody could fathom the problems that we've had with our curriculum coordinator that we had last year. But none of that stuff was passed down to teachers. And then whatever was passed down to the principal, she took it back after she gave it. There was no way to keep any of that stuff. And he gave me what he had, and I had to kind of work with what I could get as far as data being a teacher not in a tested area classroom.
Just submit what you have. And this is
Okay.
for everyone on this virtual class. Submit what you have. I will look through it and I will let you know. Because it's one of those things. DRC threw everything off because everybody could have grabbed their map item analysis if it was in Nextera. So I knew that was going to be a problem, and I explained that to Dr. Sellers. This activity builds in another class. So it's important what you pull, because when you have to do the second part of this assignment in another class, you will be able to use this again and not recreate a whole new ship, if that makes sense. So
Well, if
don't
I
stress it
know
right now. I'm gonna look through it.
I know it's another class, but can we take a whole new ship whenever we do that other one?
I
Because
can't
then
answer.
I will have some data by then.
I can't answer that because I don't teach that course. I don't know.
Okay.
I just know this class builds on another with the data analysis.
Okay. Thank you.
Jalecia?
Yes. I had a question about the difference, like, because I have an item analysis from the Mastery Connect benchmark, and our data specialist, she like also gave me a it's like the PL levels, like for if they get like threes or fours or twos or whatever for each student. And so I was just kind of asking, like, whenever I was analyzing it, I noticed like there were some differences, like whenever the percentage on like item numbers, like in the standard versus like the overall um like standard PL, like what if they got like proficient or not. So I just was kind of asking which one would you prefer us to like it doesn't matter like
It
as
does.
far
It
as
does.
okay.
Don't care about performance levels. You know,
Okay.
that's important for the teachers when they're looking at it. However, for this particular activity, you need an item analysis report. An item analysis report tells you how students performed on standards. So just say it was RI 5.1. The item analysis tells you that those kids have 4 questions in that on that benchmark assessment on that standard, and they scored 30% or 50% or 90%. That's the data analysis report. That's what you will need. It needs to be standards-based specific, not performance level, not item level, but standards-based. Because you need to be able to take the assessment and see the broken down report that shows you on 5.1, 5.3, OA, you need to know exactly how kids performed on the standards, because that's the only way to determine where there are areas of strengths, where there are areas of weaknesses. And then once you get to part 2, how to analyze for root cause of what's going on. Okay. I hope that helps. And I'm gonna try to move swiftly. I know my grading has been very slow. This is the roughest time of the year for me, and I'm trying to get caught up. But I'm gonna get there. For that, I may skip looking at domains 5 and 6 just to jump to your data project, so I can go through all of those and give you some quick feedback on the data so that you have time to find more if you need it. Whose hand is up? Jerry, I have you next.
Yes, ma'am. I used the 8th grade map test because I am the state tested teacher. Did I not supposed to use it? Because I think I asked you that
If
in
you
the
got
first class.
if you got an item analysis from it, then great. I did not. And I have 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade kids, and none of mine DRC did not provide an item analysis. If your district took the data and created one, that's perfect. We did not get that, and that's kind of where I've lived. But now other districts have taken it and they've made their own item analysis for their teachers.
Well, I have to do my own item analysis because the standards for 8th grade science is totally different than the biology one standards.
Right.
So,
If you were provided hear what I'm saying.
okay.
If you were able to break it down and do an item analysis report, then that's fine. I don't know that until I get it from you. That's why I always ask that everyone uploads their data so that I can spend time looking at what you're using. And if I look at it and it's not an item analysis, I will email you, or not email. I'm going to comment in the comment section on your assignment. This data does not support this assignment. So you'll see that and you'll have the opportunity to resubmit that. All right, LaDerek.
Yes, ma'am. On the part 1 assignment, I've seen that you said to delete that top part. I had already did the assignment, but that part is on there. Is it okay if I just delete it and resend it to you?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
please do.
thank you.
All right, Johnny.
Hey, it's Janae. I'm sorry.
Janae.
I'm just trying to make sure I have an understanding of what it is that you're wanting us to submit in. You're wanting us, so because my district use iReady, so I need to take some pick a standardized test that they've given and take the
No,
data.
iReady is fine if it's benchmark data. I think
Okay.
the confusion here is the type of data. Benchmark data is data that takes a look at a 9 weeks or a school year. If we talk about MAP, I like to call it because it's 2 A's. MAP data is a year's worth of standards, right? It's teaching a year's worth of standards. So it's considered a set of data that you can analyze. Benchmark data takes a 9 weeks. Most school districts who give benchmark data should be taking that assessment at the end of the first term, first 9 weeks. We'll start our testing next week because we get a fall break. So that is a set of standards that have been taught within a given period of time. And so there should be an item analysis that then breaks all of those standards into parts, and they sort them. They're sorted with every standard you've taught, and it tells you how students performed on that set of data. Hopefully that makes sense. So if it is not benchmark data, then it does not work. Hopefully that helped. Alexis, hand raised.
Okay, I have 2 questions. The first question is about my data. I have an item analysis. It has the standards, the text difficulty, all the information. Once I get below the correct answer, it has 2 rows of percentages. Not quite sure what they are. And then it has school and district. So I'm not sure which.
You need your school data, not the district.
The school. Okay. And then my next question, by going by that, I have 2 different, I have the same percentage on my weakness. Which do I choose, or do I choose both?
Say that second part. They're the same.
The same percentage for my weakness.
But you're identifying 2 weaknesses, so that should work.
So both of them will be my area of focus, correct?
Yes.
Got it.
Dr. Cockrell, I think Alexis is referring to the email I sent you, and correct me if I'm wrong. So my 2 top strengths were from the same standard, but we need to choose 2 different standards. So you'll find your next top strength. Is that correct?
Okay, so I'm tracking. I'm really tracking. Give me a second. I'm processing. So what I am processing is your item analysis is not put together. And when I say put together, so okay, y'all pause for just a minute. Just pause. Let me find something to show you. I'm gonna show you something. Okay, give me 2 seconds to find a data folder that I have on my computer. I'm gonna go back a ways so y'all don't see current students. Okay, Excel is asleep, so give it just a minute. It's waking up. All right, now I'm gonna share this screen with y'all, but I gotta black out some names real quick, to protect the innocent. Okay. All right, now I can share this with y'all. Give me a second here. This is benchmark data, y'all. This is MVP, 3rd grade ELA, but it's benchmark data. So these are the items. This was question 3, question 20, and question 33. All 3 of these questions were for the language standard 3.4. They had 3 items. On the first question, or question number 3, they scored 94.53. Y'all can see it. On question 20, that was their score. Question 33 was their score. For Mansdale Upper, the total for these three, they had this as the percentage, which is a strength. I would not list that as a weakness. For the school district, we perform better than them, yay. They were at this point, right? So this is an item analysis report. I technically did this. I put them all together because I know how to do it in Excel, and then I color code it so it makes it easier for my teachers to identify strengths and weaknesses. This is the type of data that you need. It doesn't need to be all color coded like this, but you should be able to take a standard and know exactly, as this third grade. Now down here is broken into teachers, but this is the standard. This is the actual percentage. And if I go across, these things were just one question on this assessment. This was another big one that had 3 questions, 2 questions, 2 questions. And I can look at this easily and identify areas of weakness. So RI 3.9, that would be an area of weakness for us. We did have 2 different questions. They were hard, but the kids didn't score very well. On RL 3.2, they didn't score very well. Do you see that? They didn't score well on RL 3.3. I can see that because this is an item analysis. Until I see your data and can look at it and analyze it, I literally can't give you a definitive answer because I'm not looking at it. I have to be able to see it, to analyze it, to give you feedback. And I think y'all want me to say yay or nay to some things that I'm not looking at. And I'm not going to tell you yes. You're going to get send it to me. That's going to be my answer because that's the only way I can tell you. I've analyzed iReady data via this course, so I know how to analyze it to get you to an answer. But without me seeing it, I can't give you a definitive answer. I hope that does answer some of the questions, but I know it's not what you want.
Dr.
That's, yes.
I'm sorry, if we have, because I use Mastery Connect as well, so I recognize that that's what that is. Would you like the chart like that for you, or do you, because I can put it in Excel and do all the things so it's already there and make it give you the percentages, or do you just want the raw, the way it comes from Mastery Connect?
If you've analyzed that data, I'm going to take what you send me and I'm going to give you a response after I look at it.
Okay.
And that's going to be the answer for probably every hand raised in here. I'm going to look at your data, I'm going to analyze it, and I'm going to respond to you.
Okay.
Regina?
Okay. My ILC, I did kindergarten, my kindergarten grade level, and it was iReady. It was our benchmark. All I want to ask you is, I'm going to send it to you, and then you can tell me if it's correct or not. But it's 8 pages. Is it all right to scan that and submit that to you?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Okay. But she did get that to me for the whole grade level, so it's for all 4 classes.
Okay, great.
Did you just want mine?
Now, if it is all 8 classes, you will have needed to do some work with it before you send it to me.
Okay.
Because in order for you to identify strengths and weaknesses, you had to have taken those 8 pages and determine across all of those. Because what you saw in my data spread is about, 10 teachers, because I have 10 teachers in third grade. That's 10 teachers' data that I've organized to the top to make that bar. You should have already did that before it comes to me, right? So you're going to take those 8 pages and determine where the weaknesses and strengths are. Okay. Alexa.
So my data was organized like that, except it was broken down by student and then by homeroom. So would I pick all 3 classes, or could I just focus on one of those homeroom classes?
To do an item analysis, you need to do the whole group. Because you do have that data, you should be able to do the grade as a whole.
Yes, ma'am.
As an administrator, your first look at the data is gonna be from a grade level. And then from the grade level, then you start drilling down to per teachers. Okay. All right, guys. There's a chat thing. Oh, that was yours, Alexa. We've answered it. All right. I'm really, really bad with the chat. I'm working on it. We'll add that to my list of things to focus on. Okay, let's see. I want to get back to the Dropbox before I let y'all go. Yes, the data analysis, what we're turning in. Name of the chart, but chewing my words, cover sheet, and then your analysis of the data on that template. Name of the assessment used, grade level, subject area, 2 areas of weakness, and an area of focus that you will use, right? That's what you're doing. This template should be cleaned up and then uploaded. Do not forget to attach your data. Because if you do not attach the data, I'm going to put a 0 up there in the grade and I'm going to put in the comments, I did not receive your data. There's no way for me to actually check your chart if I don't see your data. The two things go together. Okay? Not to confuse anyone. And this rubric just breaks down exactly what it is you're putting on your data chart. That's it. What assessment? If you have that chart filled out, you should be able to get all of these points. If you have your data attached, you should be able to get all of these points. Do not put RI 3.1. That's what this is telling you. When you start talking about your specific strengths and weaknesses, I would love to tell you I know what each standard means, but I don't, because I don't teach all the grades, especially you high school folks. Please list it out for me. Write out exactly what that standard is. And you can cut and paste it from the Mississippi document. Don't care about that part. But that way I know exactly what I'm looking at. Please use the correct template. It's only 5 points, but it's important. Okay? Hopefully there's no questions around that. Clean the document up, upload it, upload your data, add a cover page, and you will be golden. Please, please, please watch the video for next week, because I will talk all about the second template in the video for this particular week of next week. It will be attached tomorrow, so you all have time to watch it, because I want to be able to break down the expectation for this template, because you have multi things that you will do for this assignment. So please look for that actual video next week. There's a lot that goes into this part of the assignment, okay? Trying to make sure I don't forget anything. Yes, the next few videos that are posted, you really need to watch them. I'm going to hope to get instructor video 7 and 8 up before the end of day tomorrow, because there are a lot of things you need to know. And those of you guys that are in the specialist or doctoral program, you also have your best practice that I may be speaking out of turn. Give me a second. I always forget this part. Just make sure you watch the videos, and this is not going to let me leave this cohort module when I'm in student view. Pay attention to those next videos. Everyone should be ready for the informal mock evaluation. In this Dropbox, guys, the videos are listed. You're only to watch one video and then complete the 2 forms. Let's talk about that briefly. You need to complete the scripting form, the sorting form, and do a narrative. In that narrative, you're in third person when you're talking about the actual observation piece and what it is MDE expects from you guys in terms of observations. Then you're going to have a second paragraph. This is when you're doing your reflection. Please pay attention to the reflection. How do you feel about this evaluation instrument? Was it easy to follow? Was it difficult? Did you encounter anything that you didn't understand? Please just know you need to answer the questions when you do the reflection. And when you complete the reflection, it can be in first person. I felt like this was an easy instrument, or I felt it was difficult because I had to rewind a few times to make sure I got all the information down. Just make sure we're looking at the rubric as we're completing it. An APA format. If you refer back to your textbook, Carbo and Marzano, make sure we put a reference page to list it. If you don't refer back to Marzano and Carbo, then you're okay there. But if you do, make sure you list that book on a reference page. This is the rubric. I try really hard to stick to the rubric with everything I grade. All right, and we did vary up the videos. You got a little 10th grade math, a little 4th grade math, 6th grade ELA, or 3rd grade ELA, so that it makes it easier for you guys as you're viewing them to kind of relate a little bit more if you're secondary or elementary. Any questions about the mock evaluation, teacher evaluation? Hearing none. Okay. See, that's next week. And then you have the following week with your SMART goals template. And then these, I'm going to try really hard to get all these videos uploaded tomorrow. We did have homecoming this weekend, and I got lots of family here. And so once I get everybody in cars and on their way, I'm going to sit down and do a lot of videos. All right, let's see here. I think that covers all the things that are coming up for everyone. Any questions? I feel like I have frustrated quite a few of you guys, but I promise you, as you start working on these things, they will not seem as daunting as they feel in this moment. And it normally feels like that when we're kind of going through all of the things.
Okay, I have another question. So I have to do a total redo because I've already submitted this assignment, which is completely wrong. But anyway, my principal sent me an item analysis the way yours is from the Excel sheet, but she also sends it in a PDF. I noticed because I teach all ninth graders, and according to your instructions, you want the item analysis for every ninth grader that I taught last year. I've noticed when I pulled it in the PDF, it has all 46 of my students. But I could only see that in an individual class. So do you want, let me see, can I just submit to you each individual class, or you just want it on one Excel sheet? I don't know. So which one you want?
I'm going to tell you to submit the one you think is best, and I'm going to give you some feedback.
Yes,
I won't know until I see it. That's all I can say about that, because everybody now has different data that they're sharing. In past classes, everybody sent the same thing. I'm noticing with the upheaval with DRC, it's gonna look a little different from person to person. And so I'm just gonna look through it and I'll give you feedback. I don't think I can give you a perfect answer because I'm not looking at it. That is all I think I have for everyone. I hate to have disrupted the space with the data talk part, but I think it was needed and we need to go through some of those things. I'm looking back through my notes. I think that is all I have. If anyone has any additional questions, please stay on. For those of you that have satisfied minds and hearts, you may exit if you'd like. And those of you who have questions, you can kind of hang out and I'll sit here for just a minute to answer any additional questions. I like to respect your time. It is 10 o'clock. That's our 2 hours. You have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Cockrell, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who I would contact? I have a few questions about observation hours. I submitted my mentor forms, and I know that a lot of them are embedded into the courses, into the assignments, but I do believe there's around 37-ish hours that aren't. And in the EDL course that we have a course shell on Canvas, I know there's grades on there and it says X amount of hours for bus referrals and things like that. Do we receive more information on that later? Do I need to, is that like a contact Dr. Sellers to ask for clarification? Okay. Okay.
Yes, she is the keeper of your hours, so that's who you will speak to about that.
And that's something we'd obviously want to be working on now, right? And get those
Yeah.
hours in. Yes, that's okay. Because
You do
I've
not
been
want to wait to the last minute to do those hours because there's no way to do them.
I've been going during my planning period a few times a week, and just whatever they're doing, I start just scripting and document the time. And she said that whenever I get down to, what that would uh, classify as, that she'll sign off on it. But I'll contact Dr. Sellers to get further clarification. Thank you.
Oh, no worries. Thanks, Megan. Anyone else has any questions? I still see we have about 8 people still on. Well, 7. I make 8. All right. Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and end. Y'all have a great weekend.